Go ahead and get this started. For everybody in my class, glad you're here. Make sure you have your questions ready for the back end of the presentation. So I'm going to pass the floor over to Dr. Bunch in just a second, but I want to introduce our speaker. This is Kecia Palmer-Cousins from Aero-Ba-Soul, a project management consultant, and I'm going to welcome Dr. Munch up to more properly introduce our speaker today.
Thank you.
Thank you. How's everybody doing this morning?
Excellent.
Doing well? All right. Some of you might know me, some of you don't. My name is Dr. Allison Munch. I'm an associate professor at the LaPenta School of Business, and I'm also serving for my third academic year as Chief Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Officer. And what that means is to celebrate the diversity of our beautiful campus, try to make sure it's as equitable as possible for all of our members, to find opportunities to be inclusive, because when diversity, equity, and inclusion are working well, guess what happens? Our campus becomes a place of belonging, and we want everyone to feel just like we belong, and we love it. All right, so with that, I'd like to introduce our speaker, someone that I can say I've known for at least a couple of decades. And I am so pleased to welcome Kecia Palmer-Cousins, MBA and CEO of Aero-Ba-Soul. Kecia is kind, energetic, and she is a wellness entrepreneur, manufacturing engineer, and business consultant. Yes, she has worn and wears many hats. Kecia provides project management, technical assistance, and business management consulting to minority women business enterprises, MWBEs, as they navigate government and corporate procurement. She also leads career and workforce development training workshops for nonprofits and educational institutions. Kecia is a community activist specializing in MWBE certification assistance and small business advocacy. She is the CEO, co-owner of NYC, NYS, MWBE certified business, Aero-Ba-Soul, a business management and training company. Kecia also co-owns certified G&K Sweet Foods, LLC, a baked goods company, and 2014 Super Bowl vendor. A Verizon Global Senior IT Project Manager retiree, Kecia's 25-year career ranged from being one of the first female field foremen to leading project teams responsible for implementing global telecommunications infrastructure projects for the Fortune 500. Kecia has 3 brothers, and they inherited their entrepreneurial spirit from their loving parents who operated a home-based daycare center and moving the business in Mount Vernon, New York. Her paternal uncles were bricklayers who started a construction business over 50 years ago in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Her favorite granduncle owned a fish market restaurant in Flint, Michigan. So I think we can all say that entrepreneurship is in Kecia's DNA. Kecia and her husband, Kevin, live in Peekskill, New York, with their 2 amazing teenage HBCU collegiate sons, her heart and soul. Kecia has philanthropic activities where she has served on the boards of Feeding Westchester, Jack and Jill of America, the Mid-Hudson Valley chapter, and she was Distinguished Mother of the Year. The City of Peekskill Youth Bureau, VP, Peekskill NAACP Civic Engagement Chair, second VP, Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce, Peekskill's $10 million Downtown Revitalization Initiative, Local Planning Committee, and Sister to Sister International Entrepreneurship and Prosperity Committee. She has done that and so much more. Please welcome Kecia Palmer-Cousins to the Heinz Institute.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Allison. And yes, she and I, we go back, way back. We've been friends for a very long time. So good morning, everyone. Wait a minute. Okay, so I am 60 years old, and I'm sure you all are much younger than I am, right? So if I'm loud, I need you to be a little bit louder. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right? Because come on, you're Iona here. So good morning. My name is Kecia Palmer-Cousins, and I'm very, very glad to be here today and at the Heinz Institute. So show of hands, how many freshmen do we have here? Sophomores, juniors, seniors, grad students, visitors, entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs. Okay, so I'm glad that everyone is here. So today it's my honor to be here. I'm hoping that you learned something that you didn't know before you came here today, and I'm going to just take it away because today's topic is engineering. Oops, can you go back, please? Engineering and project managing your life and career through communication, collaboration, and connections. So again, I believe in the 3 C's. It helps you to be a success in everyday life, right? Because every day we don't know what's going to happen. You all wake up with a plan in place, right? You say you're going to do this. You have a to-do list. And by like the time you start the day, within like an hour or two, that to-do list is like out the window, right? So I want to give you some tips on how you can just breathe and just deal with life situations as they come. So next slide, please. So my company, I own 2 companies, just so you know. I'm going to take you a trip. Today's going to be like a trip through the journey of my everyday life and how I came to be where I am and wear so many hats. But today, I want to focus on my 2 companies, Aero-Ba-Soul Incorporated and G&K Sweet Foods. This is my loving husband, Kevin. We actually started our business in August 1999. And we had a friend named Shelly who was a breast cancer survivor. So to get through her treatment, she used to teach and take aerobic classes, right? Just to get her mind right. And so a lot of times she'd be going through her treatments and she'd be late for class. And so I would take over the class to help her out. So thus I had to get certified because when you want to have a business, one of the main things you have to think about as an entrepreneur is risk, right? Because we all have different ideas. You probably have all ideas to start a business. But you have to think about, like, if I go into business, what are the risks? So I had to get certified as a aerobics instructor. That's the name of my business, Aero-Ba-Soul, aerobics for your mind, body, and soul. I had to get certified to get the credentials to teach people how to exercise, okay? Then my passion was I want to help 2 target markets that people were ignoring, right? Because a lot of times you have an idea, right? Because everybody has like a gym, right? Like there's exercise programs all over. But then sometimes if somebody is full-figured or they're disabled, they're not comfortable with going to like a main big stream gym. So I wanted to make a gym that they were comfortable with going to where they were full-figured, disabled, or whatever. So what I did was, that was my mission statement from my business, fitness for your mind, body, and soul. But a funny thing happened. When we started the business, most of my clients were business owners. And so being that I have a business background, as you heard, I worked at Verizon for many years. I worked in marketing, engineering, you name it, project management. And so as I met people and taught them how to exercise, a funny thing happened. I would coach them on how to get their business well. So thus my business has morphed and transferred from a business to help people get well to helping their businesses get well. So now I help entrepreneurs, especially minority and women-owned businesses, connect to resources to grow their business, okay? Next slide, please. So again, this is, we went through this already, so we don't need to go through this again. This is just a summary of my background. Next slide, please. So when you meet someone for the first time, what do? You say hello, right? Go ahead. What do? You introduce yourself. And when you're in the room, right? what makes you want to, what attracts you to a person to say, that's the person I want to meet? Out of all the people in the room, what's that one thing that sticks out that makes you want to say, I want to introduce myself to that person? Body language, okay. Right, you watch how they interact with other people, okay. Anyone else?
Basically, how they conduct themselves. Again, sort of body language as well.
Yep, how they conduct themselves, whether they're smiling or not, right? Because no one wants to, like, approach someone who's like, right? So I want to share a story with you. We're in October, right? So in February, I was inducted into an organization called the Bow Collective. And it's a group of 200 Black women business owners across the country who all made $1 million or more in revenues through their business, okay? The founding members did. So when I got inducted, I met this beautiful young lady named Natasha, right? Because look at her smile, right? She had this big, beautiful smile, but I saw that she was by herself. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just join her and keep her company and introduce myself. She was being inducted too. Little did I know that Natasha lived in the Bahamas, and she owned a resort in Exuma, which I've never been to before, in the Bahamas. So I literally just said, hi, how are you? What's your name? We started talking. We hit it off. We had a lot of things in common. We had just joined this group. So that was in February. So when I met her, she invited me to her resort. She and her mother own a resort. They have, like, you see these little homes over there? She has like about maybe like 6 or 7 little cots or cottages on her property in Exuma. So that was in February that I met her. I said, yeah, I'm going to keep in touch. And guess what? I did keep in touch because in April, I turned 60 and I needed a place to go for vacation. So guess what? What do you think I spent my 60th birthday at? In the Bahamas, right? With my new friend, Natasha, all right? So there were 200 women in the room. But we hit it off. We kept in touch. And so we kept in touch so much that she gave me a great discount. And my husband and I, we flew on my birthday to the Bahamas, right? So you never know who's in the room. Does she look like she's like a millionaire and owns a resort in the Bahamas? I didn't know all of that. But when you meet someone, you have to be open to the possibilities and the opportunities, right? All right, that's the lesson there, okay? So next slide. So again, I don't know how old you all are, what your majors are, where part of the country you're from, wherever. But everyone at one point was little, right? You weren't just born to be where you are now and looking the way you are. So when I was small, I always liked to hang out with, these are all my relatives. I like to hang out with older people. Because why do you think I like that? Because what? What comes with hanging out with someone who's older than you? What happens? Wisdom. Anyone else? And no answer is a wrong answer. Just spot out what you think. Maturity, yes. Knowledge.
So you could learn from their experiences?
Yes, right? So you can learn from their experiences because we all make mistakes in life, right? And it's okay. You make a mistake, you fall down, you get back up. But the more you hang around people who have gone down different roads and who are older than you, maybe, they can share their insight into experiences so you don't make the same mistakes as they do, right? So again, I don't know how old I was here, but these are all my uncles, aunts, my mom is there. But I wasn't afraid, right, to be there and hang out and to learn. This is my mom, and this is my dad, and that's me. So again, I learned how they were talking, how they had conversations. And a lot of my family members owned their own business. So I was always intrigued in, like, how do you make money, right? Because I'm a little kid, I had allowance, but I wanted to know, how do you generate money? And how do you have the freedom to own your own business? So these were like my first innovators that I was exposed to. So again, my father worked for the sanitation department, My mother was a nurse's aide, but my mother also ran a daycare center out of our home because she liked to watch kids, babysit kids. And my dad owned a moving business on the weekend. But my cousin Henry here, he took that concept when he got out of the Navy, and he didn't want to work for anyone when he got out of the Navy. So, know what he did? He worked with my father doing, having a little moving business, but he took that concept higher, and he actually built a multi-million-dollar business, a moving business. So growing up, I saw my cousin Henry flag moving business trucks all around Mount Vernon. I'm like, that's my cousin. He's employing people. He's making money. He makes his own hours, right? So I was exposed to entrepreneur. He was an innovator, one of my first innovators that I saw. And it came from a concept because IBM had put an ad in the paper saying, this was back in, I think, 1970 something. Think about that, right? They put an ad in the paper saying, hey, we need someone to help move some furniture from one building on campus, on IBM's campus, to another. $50,000. That's back in the 70s. My cousin said, I'll take that, and he never worked for anyone after that. Just in one day, he made $50,000 back in 1970 something, moving furniture for IBM from one building of IBM to another. So you think about that, right? So again, next slide, please. So you got to use your voice. But today I want to go through how you can motivate and collaborate through mentoring, through business, through project management. My specialty is government procurement, right? People think that government stuff is like boring. No, it's not, right? The government, whether it's city government, county, state, federal, they buy everything, right? Everything you use is basically through like a government agency. They buy pencils, pens, they do training, the chairs, security, right? They employ a lot of people. But in order to do business with the government, when you're an entrepreneur, they like for you to have a certification, especially if you're a minority woman-owned business. Because a lot of times, if you don't have access to people and opportunities and money, because what happens when you go to the store and say if you're at I'll just say you're shopping and you don't have enough money in your pocket, how does that make you feel, right? You go window shopping, right? So what happens when you feel like you just don't have enough, or you feel like maybe you're not enough at a place that you're at? What are some of the emotions you go through? Frustration, yeah. Frustration because you see something and you know that you can't buy it, and it's like within your grasp, right? What else? Ambition, yes. Right? Because not all of us were born, of privilege and opportunity. We have to work hard to get into those places and spaces that other people may have because of the families they were born into, right? Like, why are you all here at Iona University? Why? What brought you here to the university? Because there's lots of universities here, but why'd you pick this particular university? What were some reasons why you came here? Because you're all here. Oh, okay. So you're with the Youth Step program, so it gave you exposure here early on to say, yes, this is a place where I could go to. Okay. Thank you. Close to home. Okay. Good. Okay. Anyone else? Just blurt out whatever you feel. And no answer is a wrong answer or right answer. Just blurt it out because you're here. Access to a lot of connections because through the business school, yes. And why are you here? Because you're close to home? Okay. Is anyone here like on an athletic scholarship or? No? Okay. And what brought you here? Job opportunities, okay. Close to home, job opportunities, a program that gave you a heads up as to what it is to be on a college campus? Yes? Sorry, Aiden?
I got offered the most money to go here.
Yes, you got offered the most money to come here. And that is that's a real reason. I was on my way to Syracuse University years ago. Back in, oh boy, let's see. Back in, I was here, back in, 1982, the cost to go to Syracuse University was $10,500. I was like number 16 out of 675 in my class. I got a scholarship to go to Syracuse. So $10,500. Syracuse gave me $1,500. You do the math. What am I going to do with that? Right? But I wanted to be an orange man, orange woman. Right? I'm like, I'm going to Syracuse, you know? I was into sports. The next week, Boston University sends me a letter saying you got accepted. Tuition, $10,500. Scholarship, $7,500. Where do you think I went? Where do you think I went? Boston University, right? So again, I hear you, right? Any other reasons why? And it was a good school too. It was a good school. Both of them was good schools. I got into college engineering at both schools, but these are real decisions that you have to make when you decide to go to college. Just like when you're being innovative and you're an entrepreneur, every day you're faced with decisions, right? Because the most valuable thing an entrepreneur has is time. Because time, why is time so valuable? Why? It's just time. Why is it so valuable? Because what? You can't get it back, yes, and goes by fast. So imagine like someone, I'll just make up a number, right? So say if, for instance, you're an entrepreneur and you know that whatever it is you do, you charge like, say, $500 an hour to do something, right? So if you're working with someone, right, you're calculating like, okay, how many hours am I working with this person? Because if someone wants to call you and you're working, someone calls you to interrupt you, you're like, look, I gotta go because I'm getting paid $500 an hour to do this and you're interrupting my money flow here, right? So time is very valuable and you can't get time back, right? Then sometimes if you hesitate and make decisions, you could miss out on opportunities, right? I remember like I went to a conference one time and someone brought up, someone was speaking and said, hey, I have $100 bill. Who wants this? People like, guess what people did? They stayed in their seat. They said, this can't be real, right? He did it for like 10 minutes. He said, anybody who wants $100 can grab this. Finally, a brave person came from the back of the room and grabbed it, right? But it took like 10 minutes, right? But why do you think people just hesitated to take this $100 bill from this person? Because what? Why? Why do you think they hesitated? Would you have hesitated? You would have hesitated? Why? Think there's a catch to it. Okay. All right. Anyone else?
I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay.
That there was gonna be a catch because probably people thought that it was gonna be like fake.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Or there might have been like something else you had to do besides getting that $100 bill, right? But then when you are an innovator, there's opportunities everywhere, and you got to be a risk taker, right? You have to be a risk taker. Okay, so next slide. So again, when you are an entrepreneur, when you're being innovative, you have to know your craft, right? You have to be the best at what you, or attempt to be the best at what you have to offer. And you can't be afraid to collaborate and ask for help. This is a group of women that I just met last week. Like I said, I went to Boston University. It was my BU alumni weekend last weekend, and I went back to campus. I only knew one of these women. Oops. Ooh. Only knew one of these women last week. And all of these women are all women who are like almost like millionaires, right? But I would have not been able to meet these women unless one of them invited me into this circle to meet them. So we can collaborate on projects together, okay? So again, when someone invites you to something, what is your decision-making process to say, yes, I'm going to go, or no, I'm not? The benefits of it, okay? And what else? Thank you. When somebody invites you to a party, an event, what are the things that go through your mind? I'm going or not because?
Maybe a list of priorities. Is that the best
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Priorities, yes. Oh, depends who's there, right? Is it worth your time, right? Like, what's in it for me, right? Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, worry about the outcome. What's going to happen when you go there? Okay. And does anyone here an influencer? Like you follow someone and say if they say that it's okay to go to, then I'm going to go to it. That happens, right? I mean, that's why we have like social media, right? Um, when someone may be wearing something, right? And you like the way it fits on them or look, that influences you to go out there and do something too. So again, when someone invites you somewhere, you know, think about, what is the good that can happen if you do go? And you think about what's the bad that can happen if you do go too. But be open to the opportunities. Like be an innovator, right? Next slide. So when how many folks here want to be entrepreneurs, like own their own business, right? Okay, so why do you want to become an entrepreneur? Because instead of working for someone, because
Feel like my hard work would end up being my benefit. Like if I work hard, it's my money that I'm generating, not working for someone else.
yes, okay, yep, good answer, yep. Anyone else? Yeah.
Having control over your life, so like your schedule and things like that.
Yes. Yep. Good. Yep. Ooh.
Give people more opportunities.
Yes. Give people more opportunities. Yes. Okay. Now we're cooking. Yes.
I know that if I fulfill my business purpose, a lot of people will end up gaining something very useful.
Yes. Yeah. And I listed a lot of things you could be strategic about because you want to know you're selling. You're an entrepreneur. You're selling a product or a service because there's a need for it, right? Like most of the things we have, we wear hats, we wear clothing, we sell socks. I mean, shoes, sandals, whatever. There's a need for it, right? And there's lots of people staying up all types of the hours at night trying to figure out how to help you. Like years ago, no one had cell phones, right? Our phones were really huge and heavy. We can even imagine people walking around with portable phones. Now you got portable computers. I mean, just portable everything, right? One of my favorite shows growing up was this show called The Jetsons, where it's a very futuristic cartoon, right? And then a show called Lost in Space. I was really intrigued about just science, right? But and I was also into mystery. Like how did things work? I was always trying to break things and then fix them and see how they work. When I went to engineering school, one of my first projects was I had to build something that was functional. So what do you think I built as a freshman going into engineering school that I could find to be useful over and over and over again? And they gave us anything we can just create, whatever you wanted to do. What do you think I built? And I was a manufacturing engineer. So what do you think I created? I created two things. One I designed, and then one I actually designed and built. As a freshman, living in a dorm that's small, so my room was like probably no bigger than this. So what do you think I created? That I still have to this day, and I still use to this day. I built a table, right? So I could put my TV on, and then I like to read. So I built a table that had like a magazine rack underneath so it could hold my magazines, So it was, dual functional. And I still have it. And it was simple, made out of wood. We could have created anything. Then I had to design something for someone else. So because my father, when I was in the 6th grade, became disabled, he hurt his leg when he's a sanitation worker. My mind was always on helping the disabled, right? So I designed a sink, right? For someone who was like, maybe had trouble with their arms. And so how do you build and design a sink for someone to use who had mobility problems with their hands? So instead of when you use a sink, you use your hands to turn the knob. I'm like, no, I'm gonna put a lever at the bottom of the sink so you can right, you can I saw you tapping your foot. So you can tap your foot to have the water run. You see, so that was very innovative, right? So when you think about things, don't just think linear sometimes, just think outside the box. And the way you create and think is your way of thinking, right? Don't let other people like just get into your head to say, nah, that'll be silly, right? I'm always doing things, outside the box. And as an innovative entrepreneur, that's what you should be doing too, okay? And think about who are your competitors, right? Like, if I mention, like, what's your favorite, I don't know who drinks soda these days, like, what's your favorite soda? Coke, Pepsi, I don't know, Dr. Pepper, right? So the soda companies are always thinking about their competitors. I mean, look at all the different iterations of their brands they do. Diet Coke, Coke Zero, whatever, right? I'm just saying, right? So they've been around for years and years. So when you do something, think about who are your competitors, right? Like, why do you wear the type of branding clothing that you wear or sneakers? Like, do we have any sneakerheads here? Like, what is your favorite brand of sneakers and style? Right? Who likes Nike? Who likes New Balance? Nike. Why do you like Nike? Because
I like the style of it.
the style. Okay.
Yeah, and different from other shoes. I just like how it looks on my foot better.
Okay. For the look. What about comfort? Comfort. Who cares about comfort? Nobody cares about comfort. Okay. Comfort. Yes. What about color? Color. Okay. Functionality, because you have like what? You have like the walking sneakers, you got the cross trainers, you got, the kind, like I have two sons, both of them are in college, and they collect sneakers. Like there's like collector's items. Like I know there was, and maybe you all know, there was like somebody who designed some type of sneaker. He passed away, and that now it's like very valuable, these sneakers. I don't know who his name was, but they keep these sneakers in a box. Like, Ma, do not ever touch these sneakers, they tell me, right? It's very valuable. So some people collect them, they trade them, some are just for show, some are functional, right? So again, it's like, think about all these things when you are, an entrepreneur, when you're selling something. So next slide. So again, different corporations, different government agencies want to give a lot of minority and women-owned businesses a leg up, because a lot of times they don't have access to capital or friends who they know in places to help them get contracts. So New York State started something called the Minority Women Business Certification. Basically, imagine like, the government has millions and millions of dollars to spend, and 30% of all the contracts for all the government has to go to a minority and women-owned business. So if you started a business tomorrow, right? How much money do you think you would need to start the business of your dream? Just shout out a number, any number. 300,000, okay. 25,000, $100, whatever that number is, right? You said $300,000, right? So if I am I just make up, what kind of business is it you're gonna do?
Say, like a deli or
A de-
something of that nature.
Okay, so a deli, okay? So you need $300,000, you say, to start your deli, right? So I'm the Westchester Medical Center, right? And I need to order hundreds and hundreds of bagels or rolls from your deli, or sandwiches or lunches, right? So if I give you a contract for $1 million for a year to provide lunches for my staff at the Westchester Medical Center, that's a county contract, right? So you're going to be very happy if I give you $1 million contract, because right now you said you need $300,000. So that's more than you need to actually keep your business alive and to pay your people, to buy your ingredients, right? To pay your bills, etc. So those are the type of contracts that these different agencies, they call set-asides and discretionary opportunities. So any agency can spend up to from $1 to $1 million without it being competitive to give to other people. So if I know that you need this money and it will help your business and you're going to give back and give jobs to opportunities to other people, these are type of things that you benefit from by getting minority women owned certified. Okay, because this way we could track those dollars to say we know that these minority women owned businesses are going to need this and use this, effectively, and we can vouch for them because as a minority women owned business to go through the certification, you have to really be organized. And a lot of times these certifications help you to be organized. Remember when the pandemic happened, COVID happened, and then a lot of businesses went out of business, right? Because they could have applied for loans, like these PPP loans. And you know why a lot of minority women-owned businesses did not get these PPP loans? Because they were not organized. They did business by cash only. We couldn't track like how they paid their bills, right? They didn't know, they just weren't, a lot of them were not organized because they didn't have like the proper like training to stay in business. So again, these certifications make you go through a series of paperwork and to help you organize your business. Okay, next slide. So who feels like they're a philanthropist? You know what a philanthropist does? What does a philanthropist do? What do they do? Works for charities. Yep, give back to the community. Right, do good things to help people in general. So you could be a philanthropist and not be rich. You could just give of your time. I'm on the board of Feeding Westchester. What we do is we make sure we help, we volunteer, we connect our resources to help those in the community who are dealing with food insecurities. Even on college campuses. I know many of you may be on the meal plan, or you live on campus or off campus? On campus, most of you? Okay. You eat in the cafeteria here? Okay. There are some students that go to college that are not living on college campuses. They're actually living in shelters or Ys or whatever, right? So we just take for granted that everybody has access to the local cafeteria. But anyway, but giving back and paying it forward, that's what I like to do, right? And I try to use my knowledge to help those causes that are near and dear to my heart. Again, I'm on Feeding Westchester board. I volunteer at the food pantry. I'm a businesswoman. I give back by serving on the board of the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce. I like to be civically engaged. It's all about inclusion, as Dr. Munch had mentioned. It's all about making sure that everybody has a seat at the table, no matter what you look like, your sexual orientation, or anything. Everybody has a right to be the best that they can be. So I'm very civically engaged. I'm a member of the NAACP. So you can see a lot of the things that I do. I like to read because I like to read. When you read books, what does that do for you? Why do you read? And what do you read? To gain knowledge and to retain information, to use it to make yourself better too, right? Who reads self-help books? Or, yes, okay. And information is everywhere. You don't have to just find it in the book. I mean, you find it on the internet. You find it in magazines. You can watch it on shows. But information is power. It helps you to dream. I remember when I was like, a teenager, one of my goals was to travel. So I joined the Girl Scouts. And by the time I was like 15, 16 years old, I signed up for a camping trip. It was called the Wyoming Trek, right? And so imagine 30 Girl Scouts from Westchester County. We spent 3 weeks camping in every state from New York to Wyoming and back. That took 3 weeks. And we took a chartered bus. We had a driver named Tony, I remember. And it was like 30 girls of all different nationalities. And so all these places that I read about in books, the Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone Park, all these the Badlands, the Grand Tetons. I went whitewater rafting down in the Grand Tetons. All these places that I had read about, I was able to see, right? Buffalo Bill State Park. So when you read, it opens up ideas and helps you dream and think that you can be there. When I graduated from high school, I created a trip where I was like, you know what? I think the young ladies in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and other places want to really get to know some of us American, some of us women, young girls here over on stateside here. So I convinced the Girl Scouts to have us go on a cruise. Because I want to go on a cruise too, right? But it's all about but I say that to say it's how you package stuff, right? Because I could just say, hey, by the way, this is a bracelet. I could tell you it's a magic bracelet. I could tell you that it has healing powers. It's how I just market the bracelet that will entice you to buy it, right? So when you're an entrepreneur, you have to think about what is going to make people buy what you're selling, right? You have to convince them that what you have is worth their money, right? When you buy something, how long does it take you to take your money out your pocket or your phone or to like Apple Pay for it or whatever you do these days? What goes into that decision making process to say, yes, I want to purchase that? Just shout out anything. What goes into your mind? How's it going to benefit you? Do I have enough money to pay for it? What else? Wants versus needs. Yes, wants versus needs. Anyone else? Is it within your budget? And a lot of times when you're an entrepreneur, you may not have the money to buy what you need for your business. So a lot of entrepreneurs use other people's money to keep their business alive. There's something called grants. There's a lot of opportunity for grants. Grants is like free money you can apply for your business, okay? You don't have to repay it. During COVID, I applied for a lot of grants because my business was training, and so I would actually go on to corporations, to chambers of commerce, to locations physically to meet with people. But what happened during COVID? What were we not allowed to do so much? Interact in person, right? So a lot of my accounts I had got wiped out because they were afraid to meet in person because of the liability of everyone getting sick. But because I worked at Verizon for many years, I was used to like remote access and the information technology that was available that people did not realize. My sons are 19 and 21 years old. They've seen me work from home since they were 4 and 5. You know why? Because I had access to technology that allowed me to work from anywhere. I could be on the beach working with my computer. I could be anywhere. So that gave me what? That gave me more freedom to network with people in my community and to just really just cut down on my commute. And it saved me money from going back and forth to the city so much, right? And allow me to have time with my family. So next slide, please. And this just shows you how to apply for the New York State certification. That's the website. And it just shows you what they consider minorities, like Black people, Native Americans, Alaskan Natives, and Asian Pacific Islanders. Next. Now, when you get certified with these contracts, what happens is, okay, so who watched the Super Bowl this year? Who watched the Super Bowl? Any football fans? Yes, no? Okay. So years ago, I had the opportunity to be a vendor at the Super Bowl. Everybody watches the Super Bowl, right? It's like one of the biggest parties ever. So I had a company where we made sweet potato pies, cookies, granola bars. And I remember like years ago, who heard of Beyonce? Anybody heard of Beyonce? Anybody knows Beyonce? Yes? Okay. So years ago, Beyonce was in a group called Destiny's Child, right? Back in 2013, Destiny's Child, they were part of the halftime show, right? And I watched it with everyone else, and I told all my friends that I'm going to be at the Super Bowl next year, right? But I'm not paying to get in. They're like, how are you going to do that, right? So I said, I'm going to be a vendor. And so the next month, I get a call from the NFL. So the NFL has a thing where they reach out to smaller minority women-owned businesses and help them become a vendor the following year at the Super Bowl. So I answered the email, I followed up, and every month I kept in touch with them. And so the following year, I was a vendor. So the point here is check your email and follow up, okay? Next slide, please. And you have to advocate for yourself. Find a cause that you believe in. Like I was advocating 2 weeks ago at Capitol Hill, right? Advocating for small business owners. So again, find your tribe and advocate. Next slide, please. And network. So you can collaborate. I was able to speak at Morgan Stanley's headquarters through one of the organizations I was at, right? This I don't know if you all watch what's that show? Oh my God! With this is Cheryl Lee Ralph. She's on one of the most popular TV shows around. Yes, thank you. All right. So she wrote a book. So I went to a book signing with some women that invited me to attend. I was at Yankee Stadium vending with some principals who were looking for minority and women-owned vendors that can do after-school programs, right? So I'm a Yankee fan. So I love being a vendor at Yankee Stadium and trying to give back to the students in the community. So networking is everywhere, okay? It's not just a traditional, like, pick up the phone and meet people. It's everywhere in your community. Next. And I'm going to wrap it up. So again, I'm always in the community. This is at like a parade in Peekskill. You see all the, this is the superintendent of schools, Dr. Mauricio, and some teachers. I have a company, G&K Sweet Foods. We did a fundraiser for Feeding Westchester at the Westchester Mall. And then I'm in a book club, because I said I like to read. So here's some of my book club ladies helping to support a local diner. Next. And again, this is myself and my business partner, Gay, that owns G&K Sweet Foods with me. And these are some of our pies that we did at the Super Bowl. We got to meet all types of people that year. And then this is a picture of myself in North Carolina at a Capital Conference in the lobby of a major hotel downtown where they bought my oatmeal raisin cookies, right, to give out to the guests as they came into the hotel. So networking and opportunities are everywhere. Next slide, please. And again, at the end of the day, do not forget to balance your life with, positive attitudes. And this is like, again, this is a journey of myself and my husband from our wedding to our kids. And my son, he goes to Howard University, my oldest son. He's a mechanical engineering major, but he likes football. So he walked onto the football team his freshman year. And he walked on, and they won 2 championship rings. Right? Yeah, yeah. But as a walk-on, he gets treated just like anyone else on the team, okay? And my other son, he's an exercise science sports management major at Winston-Salem University, and he helps out with all the sports on game day. And again, that's us. You've got to make time for your family, because at the end of the day, you can work, but your support system is the one that keeps you grounded, okay? Your family, your friends, okay? And I think this is the last slide coming up. Yep, so thank you for attending today's e-talk, and I hope you learned something, and hope you get inspired to start your own business. And with that, you can take it away.
Open up the floor for some questions
Yep.
and some Q&A.
Okay? Yep. And thank you for those who are able to share, because it's not easy just raising your hand and just but when you're in the room, you never know who's there and who could be there to help you on your journey to whatever it is you want to be, okay? And you have voices, use them, okay? All right.
Any questions for Kecia?
Hi, Ms. Palmer.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. My name is Dana.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, was there ever a time where you lost sight of your business passion? And if so, how did you go about reestablishing that passion and rerouting yourself in your business purpose? And if you are the opposite and you've always maintained that passion, then what advice would you give to individuals that may lose sight of that?
Okay, thank you. So there was a time when I did lose passion briefly because of not a lot of money coming in. Because no matter how excited you are about your company, you have to make money to keep the business alive. That's reality, right? Because you can't go to Con Edison and say, hey, I'm cute today. Can you pay my bill? So you can't do that. So what happened was I actually owned 2 businesses. So with one of the businesses, unfortunately what happened with my my food business, G&K Sweet Foods, I started to lose the passion for that because when I went to the Super Bowl, where I did not share with you, that day, my business partner started having heart problems. She almost had a heart attack at the Super Bowl. So you can imagine we're like, oh, we're here and we made it, and now we're like, my business partner is sick. So she had to address and focus on her health. So that meant that, it was just myself really trying to carry the business, and we had a co-packer that baked everything for us. But then a funny thing happened. I said, you know what? I can focus now on my other business, which I had started, Aero-Ba-Soul, years before that one, and that's what I did. And so because of that, that opened up even more doors for me to get back to my original business that I started back in 1999 with my husband and just transform it to a different business. And it has opened up so many doors for what I'm doing now, and I'm able to work in the business full time and make a lot of money from it and just have opportunities like this. So again, I took a situation and turned it into a positive. Right? And now my business partner is focusing on her health, working on a master's on something. But the whole point is we had to just take a step away from that. But now we're focused, now bringing that business back and building it back up. Okay?
Any other questions? Don't be shy. This is the opportunity.
Have you, any of you started your own business while you were here? Or, oh. No, I think she had a hand up. That's okay. Okay.
What advice would you give us college students?
Advice to give you college students in reference to what type of advice and what? Okay. So you know what? Advice I would give you as a college student is it's okay to think about starting your business while you're here at college. Okay. My son goes to Howard University. He's on the football team. He's good friends with the majorette, the guy who holds the baton and leads the band. That's also my son's barber, right? So he cuts everybody's hair, the guy's hair on campus. So he makes a lot of money cutting hair, right? He's a barber on campus. That's a business, right? Which he can then grow once he, graduates from school. But again, he's being entrepreneurial. A lot of the businesses that we have today that are very successful started on college campuses. A lot of people started here and end up dropping out too because their business just became so great and big. They were like, okay, I got what I got out of school and I'm on to something else. But it's okay to think about and start your business while you're in college. Okay, like I said, my husband and I were dating. And we started the business before we even got married, okay? So it's always a good time to start a business, seriously, okay? And there's free resources out there on college campuses. They have like a lot of, like even this center here. So use the resources at Iona University and the Heinz Institute while it's here, okay? Really. Okay? I hope that answers your question. Yes, because you can do it. Like I said, if I could do sweet potato pies at the Super Bowl, okay? Come on, seriously.
But I think it starts here, just coming to events.
Yes, yep.
Sometimes we overthink it and say, oh, I should be doing greater things. But this is great, just being present. Don't just come to class.
Right.
Advantage of the opportunities on campus. Build your electronic Rolodex. Maybe it's another student that's doing something that's interesting. You don't know who you're going to meet.
And you never know.
Someone from the Bahamas.
Yes, exactly. One of my good friends went to engineering school with me, and while he was before he graduated his senior year, he became friends with someone at Northeastern University. They pledged a fraternity together, and they bought a house together their senior year. And what they did was they rented out that house to other college students. That company now is BRP. BRP, I think, developers. They are a major builder in Manhattan and Brooklyn. Yeah, I think BRP. Look them up. Meredith Marshall and his business partner. They started off as college students buying a house because one of them, their father was in real estate. So they had a mentor, right? But just from one house, renting it to other college students, they are a multi-million-dollar business, BRP developers. And a matter of fact, they built this big major building in downtown New Rochelle. Okay? Look them up. He's one of my best friends too, by the way. So yeah. Okay. So yes, it's good to start, when you're in college, okay? And what about yourself? You play for basketball? Oh, okay. I used to play for Mount Vernon basketball. Okay. What position you play?
I play point guard.
Point guard? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really have a question prepared, but
Okay.
I actually do have a question.
Okay.
You talk about the work and the life balance a lot.
Mhm.
I'm just like, as young kids, I feel like we kind of got a lot going on.
Mhm.
And growing up. So, what are some strategies you used growing up?
Okay. So some strategies that I use growing up and still use to this day is I set boundaries with people. If I know that, like, say you have a coach, right? You have a coach, right? So your coach tells you, look, we have practice on this day and this time, and guess what? You know that this day and this time, you need to be at practice. Because if not, you're going to deal with the consequences, right? By not playing or whatever. So you have to teach others how to respect your time, right? And that's one thing I would suggest. And then also too, it's you are the company you keep, right? So if you're doing things and people are not supportive of you, then you have to love them and hang out with them from a distance because you have to stay focused, right? People used to always tease me like, you're always carrying a book. Yeah, because I want to learn and I'm open and I knew that I wanted to go on and do greater things, right? And I'm okay with that. A lot of times I may go places that other people may not want to go. It's okay to go places by yourself because when you get there, you meet other people, okay? Never be afraid to expand your network. So again, with juggling things, set boundaries, stay focused, and when things happen, forgive yourself, right? Because a lot of times too, we get embarrassed about certain things. You make mistakes, get back up, okay? So yeah, but you have to teach people how to respect you and your time and your dreams. And if you know that someone is not gonna support you, then you have to just say, you know what, I gotta dump you. I mean, I just really, you just like, I love you from afar, but no, seriously, right? So, I mean, I have the same core group of people that I grew up with that we still share ideas with, we bond with. So you gotta be careful of the company you keep. That's all. You're welcome. And be open to mentors. Please be open to mentors and people who advocate for you. Okay? Because like you become very influential when people start talking about you when you're not even in the room. Right? I do a lot of networking. If I don't go to a certain event, people are like, well, Kecia's not here. So I wonder why I'm here. Right? So again, be open to the possibilities. Okay? And follow up. Again, it pays to follow up. And you never know who knows who. And don't be afraid to ask a question, because you never know who's connected to who. Does anyone know who your majority leader is of the state Senate? Who's the number one most powerful senator in New York State? Does anyone know? Going once, going twice. So the number one senator in New York State, who's the most powerful woman in New York State Senate, is my mother-in-law. State Senator, Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins. She's like third in line to be governor. When the governor's not there, the lieutenant governor takes over. Lieutenant governor's not there, my mother-in-law takes over. Okay? And guess what? She was a college student. She was raised in the Bronx, in the projects. Her father was a Purple Heart recipient who couldn't get a house because he was denied the GI Bill to get a house, so they lived in the projects. She goes off to college, sophomore year, goes to some school in Nebraska, she gets pregnant. She drops out. She has my husband, okay, who now is a civil engineer who went to Northwestern University, who also played football. But then she, got back to school. She got her bachelor's at Pace, her master's at Pace. She got an honorary doctorate from Pace recently, right? She sets policy for New York State. So you can imagine she brings all of that experience with her when she goes there to advocate to be fair for everyone because she wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth. So she's been there. She's been places, okay? So she married. She has two other children. Now they're adults with kids too, doing well for themselves. But I share that story to say that she tells people she dropped out of college, gave birth to an engineer who married an engineer. Now she has a grandson who's going to be an engineer. So you just never know where life is going to take you. Okay? So one minute she's, in the room talking to, people who are cleaning the street. The next day she's like with Jay-Z. Then the next day she with the Pope. When they had the Democratic National Convention, people like, I saw your mother-in-law on TV, So again, you never know who's connected to who and who's in the room. Okay? Does anyone watch The View on TV? So I was with Sunny Hostin the other day, right? Oh, good. Yes, she's great. She won an award the other day. So be okay with supporting everyone else's dream, because then they could be there to support yours too and cheer you on. You need cheerleaders. You need cheerleaders in the room when you're not there, so they can speak about what you do. Like everyone who's I met here today, I appreciate you taking time today, because you could have been anywhere. You're college students. Your time is precious, like you said, right? And good luck this season too. Okay. All right? And be proud. Like I said, I wear my college ring every day, all right? One of my college, I went to 3 colleges, but I wear my Boston University ring every day. You know why? Because it took me a lot to get through engineering school, right? I was a young black female from New York in Boston. Engineering was going through changes. So I wear my ring every day as a reminder that I am resilient. I am unique. I am special. I can do this. I got this, right? So again, be proud of where you go to school at, and you represent the university, and use the resources that are here for you, okay? Because then when you're gonna miss it when you're gone, you're gonna be like, wow. So if you don't learn anything today, use the resources that are here, okay? Any other questions? All right. Okay, and I wish you all the best of luck, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you that came here today, whether you asked a question or not. You were here, and people absorb information in different ways when they want to, but hopefully today I made an impact on your life, and feel free to, again, keep in touch. Next slide, please. Feel free to keep in touch. You can scan, my QR code. I'm open to questions. If you ever have any questions, right, feel free to just, when you contact me or email me or call me, just remind me like what your name is and where I met you at, and tell me how I can help you, okay? And I really do mean that, okay? Whether it's trying to connect you with someone for internships, or just advice, just to talk, okay? Because going through college, besides the classes, mental health is very real, okay? Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to, right? And someone you can trust, someone who, holds confidence to heart, okay? So I'm one of those people. So again, I am here for you all. I want to thank everyone who allowed me to come here to talk to you all, because you are very special. And make sure you make use of the Institute here, seriously, and all the professors and each other while you're here, because it goes by fast, okay? So you can come back for your alumni weekend and say, yes, I remember when I was sitting here and just learning about entrepreneurship. And okay, so again, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kecia,
Yeah.
for that inspirational talk. I think Kecia's talk embodies the work of the Heinz Institute to dream, create, and lead. We all have, ideas that can be nourished and watered, and that can grow into something amazing. I'm always inspired, by all the things that Kecia has dreamt about and actually created, that created opportunities not only for her family, but for others. And also take to heart, those of you who start a business, that there are resources available to get you started. So don't say like, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I don't have the funding. There are opportunities. And thank you, Kecia, for being so gracious as to being a resource.
Yeah. Yeah.
She means it wholeheartedly to send her an email, because
Or call.
do you think she's a little bit connected?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. I mean, I spilled water here, but guess what happened? I just kept going, right? I was like, it's just water. right? So I did that on purpose too, just so you can know that guess what? Stuff is gonna happen, right? Some people are like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, please, no. When I got that Super Bowl deal I was 2 hours late to a meeting about getting a contract. It was raining, whatever, but I came into that room after the program was over and said, I'm sorry, I missed the whole speech because it was traffic, it was this and that, but my name is Kecia and this is what I do. And guess what? They remembered me. Because I didn't let anything, and people are like, who is this person? She just got here, she's all late. But I was the only one who spoke up and said, hello, thank you for saying what you said. I don't know what you said, but I sell pies, cookies, whatever. And then the next month, I had to be the first one there so everyone can sample my desserts, okay? And then they allowed 10 other dessert vendors to sample their desserts. So I made 10 bakery friends, in a month. And then I became friends with all the vendors by the next year of the Super Bowl. So guess what? Embarrassing situations will happen. Brush it off. Keep it moving. Okay? Thank you.